Hi, everybody, and welcome to Proline Daily, the longest-running sports handicapping show in America, coming to you direct from Las Vegas. Baseball tonight, not a full slate, but some good matchups. Jim 5-2 with all plays for you on Sunday, 25-12 and 1 the run with your high-end inner circle baseball plays, and 6-2 over the last 8.
Yeah, the high-enders have been really, really good, Dave. And we got another red-hot inner circle release today at jimfeist.com. And when you purchase, you have a coupon. You just don't know about it, but you can use the one that I will give you right now. It's called Jim50. And when you type that in, you'll get a discount, a pretty major discount, so you don't want to miss out on doing that. Just go to jimfeist.com.
And I've got a value plus parlay tonight. Two sides that I like quite a bit. Coming off a nice day yesterday and looking to add to it tonight. $40 to get both games. Or you can get them at half price by using the promo code DAVE50. That's DAVE50. Both games would then just be $20. That's a good deal. So the Red Sox and Rangers getting their series tonight. A series underway, I should say, tonight. And the Red Sox coming out of a really good weekend at Toronto, where they swept the Blue Jays. They've now won 6 of their last 7. The offense is starting to come around. Mookie Betts had a monster game yesterday, but boy, they'd sure like to get Rick Porcello going. It has been a tough season for Porcello. 4-10, ERA still over 5, and a whopping 138 hits in 105 innings. Jim, he is struggling big time.
He is, Dave. I look at this matchup and I don't see much of it. I can't really look at the pitchers as making that much of a difference in this game. And I think they're both very hittable. And I'm looking at a real barn burner down there. I'm looking at maybe 12, 14 runs in this. I'm betting the game over.
Interesting to note, the two pitchers combined here, Porcello and Perez, combined, they pitched 187 innings and given up 242 hits. So these are two of the most hittable guys in the league. Perez is coming off the DL. He had a thumb problem. He's ready to go now. He's your prototype of a back end of the rotation guy. He'll lead up 6, 7 innings, but he's definitely not an all-star. This is not an all-star snub. Let's put it that way. So we'll see what happens. Now, one thing to factor in here, however, is that when these teams met previously this season at Fenway, the Red Sox scored the series sweep. And teams that have been in revenge from series sweeps in Game 1 of the return match, they've done extremely well. So that's something to factor in when looking at this game. Might be something that tilts you a little bit to the Rangers. But Boston is playing good ball right now, no question about that. Also tonight, Kansas City and Seattle matchup. The Royals will have. No, it's not. I was looking at the wrong game for a moment. Ian Kennedy on the mound for Kansas City, and the rookie Moore is back up to make his second start for Seattle. His first one was very good. Andrew Moore was very impressive. Was optioned back down because they didn't need to use him in the rotation, and figured he may as well get his work down in Tacoma. But he's back up for this start, coming off that good effort against the Tigers in his debut. Ian Kennedy on the mound for the Royals. He has had a rough year, 2-6, high earned on average, but the Royals have won his last 4 starts.
And that makes a big difference because it builds your confidence, the team's confidence in the player, and the player feeling, hey, I just went out there and got us 4 straight wins, and that's a confidence builder. And forget, these guys aren't machines; they're people. And when you look at a situation like this, I'm looking at the Royals as being a very bettable team in this. And I've learned sometimes the hard way, baseball is not just about picking winners. It's because we're dealing with money lines in most cases, and not runs lines or totals, because you can do all of that. But if you're going to bet the side, you really need to look for value. In this spot, I would say the value probably would be with Kennedy coming off these 4 good games, the wins, the team, the Royals. This spot, to me, looks like a Kennedy bet.
All right. I think that's it. If you want to get free plays every day on recorded message, now those are going to keep on rolling. We're going to tell you about the podcast in a moment. If you want to get free plays every day on a recorded message, make sure to call the number every day. That's 888-294-1970. Well, you can follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Jim Feist Sports, and also free plays via text. Just what you need to do is text GAME, GAME, to 25827, and you get free plays right to your cell phone.
Yeah, thank you, Dave, for covering for me there. Let's talk about the podcast. Today's July 3rd. Tomorrow's 4th of July, and I hope everybody out there has a great 4th. We have a lot to celebrate. The United States is a great country. We have our ups and downs, but we always recover and bounce back. And, I've traveled the world, and I know that there's very few countries in the world that offer the same things we do. So we should celebrate, be proud to be Americans and to be here and live here. But we're going to take a little break. We've been going at this for a long time without any breaks. And we got football season coming up, and it starts at the end of this month or the beginning of next. But in any case, we're going to come back with our next podcast on July 26th. That'll give John, Dave, and myself a couple of weeks to just focus on relaxing, getting our minds clear, and to also prepare for what's going to be a very profitable college and pro football season. And also, we just followed the NBA, the signings, the players moving around, and then, of course, we have the draft. There's a lot of things going on besides, baseball. And baseball in July with the All-Star break and all that stuff, it's a good time for us to take a break. And Dave, I want to mention that you have done extremely well with your golf plays. And,
well, not recently.
Well, you can't win them all. And
it's
the prices that you've gotten on some of your plays, you only need one a year.
I'm looking for. I'm not playing favorites in golf. You might want to look at favorites in matchups, but win bets, there's just no value in them. You want to look down the list and try and find a juicy price. And, just missed on a couple the last couple of weeks. Did have a couple big ones earlier. Kevin Chappell, 26-1, had Rahm early in the season. Matsuyama when he was a double-figure favorite, double-figure price. And I think I've only played one favorite all year, and it did win. I took Dustin Johnson in one of the early tournaments and got there. So, but we'll have him up every week. Usually one or two win bets with one unit carved into as many players as I'm playing. So we're not going wild with this stuff. I think they're worth following and usually going to be in the hunt. And, certainly had a couple of guys who were close this weekend, didn't win it, but we're knocking on the door. So we'll see if this weekend we can push the door down.
Dave, one other thing. We're not going to be back here for a while, but over the weekend we had a rather controversial decision in boxing. And I know you're really somebody that knows boxing very, very well. Any comment on that? Pacquiao lost?
I thought it was a pretty close fight. I had 7-5 for Pacquiao in rounds, so, 2-point fight. So I'm not going to go wild over 115, 113 the other way, particularly since the judges, whether they admit it or not, and they'll never admit it, they do get influenced by the crowd. And it was on Horn's home turf. The crowd was going crazy every time he tried to do something. He wasn't really effective with his aggressiveness, and that's why I thought Pacquiao won the fight. But, you're sitting in that atmosphere, even if you're not biased, there might be a little, you can be subconsciously influenced by the crowd, and any official who doesn't admit that probably shouldn't be officiating. So I don't have a real problem with the two 115, 113s, but that 117, 111 from the roll-down judge, who's a New Yorker, by the way, the judging wasn't home cooking from the standpoint of Australian judges going for the home guy. There were no Australian judges. That 117, 111 is total incompetence. That means on that judge's card, Horn won 9 rounds, and that's utterly ridiculous. So it was a bad score. I've seen worse, but it's boxing, and that's about it. That's all you do is shrug your shoulders and say it's boxing.
I remember as a kid, Dave, we used to go to the boxing matches were shown in drive-in theaters, and where I lived, and every Friday we would go to the drive-in and watch the boxing matches, sitting in your car with the speaker on the window, and it was kind of cool. And we that was our Friday thing. We did that all. Don Dumphy and the Friday night fights was great. But that was back, and we saw a lot of controversial decisions back then.
Oh, it always happened.
Yeah,
look, there's no reason for this to continue. The discussions have been there for years. I don't see any argument that makes sense other than emotional arguments from people who are stuck in the 1980s or whatever. Boxing needs to go to open scoring. The crowd should know what the scores are for each round after the round. It's that simple. It's the only sport, that and gymnastics and diving, I suppose, where you don't, it's up to the official. And I shouldn't even say that, because even in figure skating, they tell you the skater's score after the skater is done with his or her routine. So you can keep score in those sports. So basically, there isn't another sport where there's no open scoring. And that's ridiculous. And to be honest with you, I mean, maybe it made a difference in this fight. If Pacquiao had known the fight was close, maybe he doesn't. I'm not saying he took his foot off the pedal in the last few rounds, but he had a chance to knock this guy out in the 10th round and really didn't go after it. So maybe if he looked at the scores, or if he knew what the scores were, and see, boy, it's a really close fight, maybe he goes after it more. I think it's an antiquated system for a sport that's been obsolete for some time, and you wanted to inject some new life in the sport. That's how to do it. I think that would actually absolutely get more crowds and more viewers interested if they know what the score is as the fight goes along.
I've always wondered if a fight like this, when you have a controversial decision, and some of the announcers made it very clear that they didn't like the decision, does Pacquiao have enough money, or has he blown his bankroll like so many boxers have in the past? Because there's always a potential of setting up a rematch for bigger money.
I don't know if no, I don't think that's it. Why? What's the attraction for a rematch here? It was a good fight with a bad score. If this fight scored properly, I don't know that anybody's going to say, "Wow, I got to see that again." It was an okay fight. It wasn't anything great. And by the way, neither guy is that good at this point. Pacquiao has slipped considerably.
Yeah, he has.
And Horn's a club fighter. That's all he is. I mean, not knocking his effort or his desire. He certainly has that. And he's a tough guy, but he's not a top 20 fighter. I mean, I can tell you right now, there's 20 welterweights who beat him easily. If he matched up with Kell Brook, who's one of those guys who's kind of on the fringe, good fighter, but can't beat anybody really good, Kell Brook would wipe the floor with him. Wouldn't be a close fight. So that's the way I feel about it. No, look, this sport's a carnival act. That's why the biggest draw in terms of dollars is a fight between a boxer and a guy who's never boxed in his life. But that tells you everything.
I guess it does, Dave. You're right.
That's basically like saying that if the Mets were to call up Tim Tebow, it would be the biggest game in the major leagues this year. Well, obviously it wouldn't. It might get a little more coverage because it's Tim Tebow, but it wouldn't be looked upon by anybody as the big event in baseball. In boxing, carnival acts sell because they can't sell the regular fights. That's about what it comes down to.
I think you're right. That's why I wanted you to comment on it, because I think you hit the nail on the head. But anyway, we'll be back here on the 26th of July, and we'll be covering whatever happened in baseball, of course, and we'll be looking at the NFL and college football. So it gives us a lot of time to prepare for that and gather information and come up with some opinions. So I'm excited about it. Needed a little break. That won't hurt us. And I know John's going away for a little vacation. And we'll see you in a couple of weeks.
Sounds good. So long, everybody. Have a happy 4th.